Hi, welcome back to another short explanatory medical why videos. Why is hemorrhagic stroke more devastating than ischemic stroke? It's well known that hemorrhagic stroke has poorer outcome, that is higher mortality rates, higher morbidity, and poorer prognosis than ischemic strokes, both embolic and thrombotic subtypes included. But in this tutorial, we'll find out exactly as to why is hemorrhagic stroke the bigger of the two devils. Ischemic stroke occurs when blood supply to the brain is compromised by either partial or complete occlusion of an artery supplying the brain. If it's due to a blood clot, a thrombus, or an atherosclerotic plaque, it's called a thrombotic stroke. And if it's due to an embolus, like a systemic clot embolus, a pulmonary embolus, or even occasionally an air or a fat embolus, then the resulting disease is called an embolic stroke. So, resultantly, we will have presentations because of infarction or death of neurons of the affected area of the brain supplied by that particular vessel. Whereas a hemorrhagic stroke occurs when a blood vessel bursts within the brain, and this could be because of either trauma or rupture of an aneurysm, malignant hypertension, an arteriovenous malformation, or vasculitis that has rendered the vessel wall weak. This does two things. Number one, the affected area loses blood supply, suffers rapid energy failure, and results in neuronal cell death. Just want to remind you here that neurons lack glycogen, the storage form of energy, which is why there is rapid energy failure when it comes to the CNS. Number two, we have blood collection outside the blood vessel and within the brain parenchyma. So, all the devastating effects not seen in ischemic stroke but seen in hemorrhagic stroke are from this blood that collects outside the ruptured vessel and within the brain. This collection of blood has three major effects which makes hemorrhagic stroke a little more worse than ischemic stroke. Not to forget, both share the common pathophysiology of lack of cerebral blood supply. First, the hematoma disrupts the neurons in glia. Glia as in glial cells. These are the non-neuronal cells that serve a multitude of functions like myelination, maintenance of homeostasis, support and protection of neurons, etc. These are astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia in the CNS. So, this neuronal and glial disruption leads to oligemia, release of neurotransmitters, mitochondrial dysfunction, and cellular swelling. Oligemia meaning reduction in volume of blood, which occurs after hemorrhage. The next effect involves thrombin. We know that thrombin is a serine protease enzyme which converts fibrinogen into fibrin and is unique in that it acts both as a procoagulant and an anticoagulant. The thrombin in the blood of the hemorrhage, it activates the microglia, which are the immune cells of the CNS, and leads to more inflammation and edema, which are very, very undesirable effects. The third effect is that the collected blood or the hematoma exerts a mass effect and compresses the surrounding structures, causing primary injury to the brain and raising the intracranial pressure. This same hematoma causes secondary injury also by causing inflammation and edema, along with disruption of blood-brain barrier, overproduction of reactive oxygen species causing free radical injury. So this disruption of blood-brain barrier and reactive oxygen species production is caused by inflammation and edema itself. So all these pathophysiological mechanisms are being mediated by the inflammation over here. Then you have glutamate, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter, which induces excitotoxicity and again causes injury, plus release of hemoglobin and iron from the clot. Now this free iron which is released from the clot, it reacts with hydrogen peroxide and superoxide radicals to form hydroxy-free radicals. These hydroxy-free radicals, they inactivate and destroy biomolecules and neurons within the brain. So all of these pathophysiologic mechanisms seen with collected blood outside blood vessels in the brain contribute to the higher mortality and morbidity seen with hemorrhagic stroke. Hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you found this to be useful and any doubts that you have related to any medical topic, including this one. Thank you.